How's it going, everybody? It's me, R.D.V. here, and I'm with Eric Breen. There is no Zach tonight. He decided to bail on us. So everybody in the chat, boo Zach, because he decided he'd rather hang out with Skip tonight. No loyalty to the brand at all.
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? What was that? You're not leaving, Eric.
No, I.
Oh, you're talking about who wouldn't boo him?
If I knew how to get on Twitch, I would.
When I think of Twitch, I think of someone who's spasming because they're in pain. All right. What's going on, Jay? Hello to Eva Black Cat. Hello to Maranya and anybody else you might be watching tonight or watching on replay. Tonight is a special night because, I was gone in Chicago for 2 days. And I figured, we'll just move everything back one day, But that we'll have a retrospective anyway planned anyway, so it worked out perfectly. So, and there's no Zach tonight, so I mean, as far as this goes. But that being said, it'll be a nice short replay for you who are watching on the replay.
Well, you cut out the off-color jokes, and that cuts down 15 minutes.
I know, right? Yeah, and another 20 for Zach's racist remarks.
That's true.
Sure.
Alleged.
Right. Yeah, so I got 6. I have 13 books this week.
Yeah, but Jay, Venkman and I saw you wave.
Yeah. So I have 13 books. There is one book I did get. Now, I noticed it was a little pricey when I picked it up, but it's perfect because I actually do like this character. The more I read about it, I'm gonna have to see if I can speak to your friend Charleston, your guy, because he might have some of these old books. And the book I'm talking about is a reprint of Wiz Comics from 1940. A little pricey, $7, but it's a thick book though. It's not like it's thin.
Yeah, well, it's like 60-something pages, right?
I think
it's a complete reproduction of that issue. Now, and you said you want to talk to Charlton 66,
yeah,
about getting some of those issues.
Well, I was just joking because you see,
I was gonna say that actually that predates Charlton. Those came out when they were Fawcett.
I thought, and
they folded. Charlton bought the properties. They bought their characters.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say I wouldn't doubt that he has some of these books. So
I don't know if he does, but I know Jambo does.
Like I said, these are just cool on the inside a little bit. It is the newspaper print, bright color. So, let's see if I can get some of the ads in here. Well, some of these just branch right into another story. I mean, you get an ad, it just goes next story, like Golden Arrow. Yep. And then you have back here you have the Lucky 7 cash contest.
The ads are just as much fun as the comics on these.
Look at that! Look at $25 in cash prizes. I'd still want $25 in cash prize.
Yeah.
That's a gallon of gas.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you got Scoop Smith in here too. So I think there's like 6 stories. Yeah, there must be like 6 stories in this. Which, then you have Spy Smasher. I wouldn't be surprised if we read some of these on E's channel when we first did those.
A friend of mine was, I think, cleaning out some stuff at his grandma's house, and in the bottom of a dresser, there were 3 miniature comics, and they're like the size of a postcard.
Wow!
But one was Captain Marvel, one was Golden Arrow, and one was Spy Smasher. Like an idiot, cool. I sold them for nothing.
Yep. And then we have here. Notice if you watch the Shazam movie, the 7 Deadly Enemies, the monsters they had to fight in the movie. That is cool for $7. $1 per issue
Yeah, it
or
would be
$1 per book.
nice if DC would put these out not because there's a movie coming, but
Yeah, just
just to put them out. But
put them out in absolute editions. I want an absolute Shazam. Give me an app. You have all these characters. You could put them in the leather or leather, not leather bound, but if you could put it in a huge, either omnibus or compendium hardcover, and just for each character of the Justice League, people would probably still pick up even the Wonder Woman. It's and especially if you're doing Golden Age. That's the thing. If you're doing Golden Age, someone's gonna buy these. They did in 2006, and then they stopped. They stopped going out of print. But I mean, like, dude, would you not buy a giant? You have like a whole encyclopedia, like this giant science, like a size of encyclopedia volume, but that's like the Flash or this, like they did the DC archives. Bring those back, but bring them like an omnibus form though. That's what I want.
well, they do have omnibuses for some of the bigger characters, but
Yes,
yeah, I don't believe there's ever been a Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel would be great. Shazam or whatever you would call it, Shazam. Or is he called now just the Captain? Is that the new thing done as DC?
I don't know.
Did you pick up the latest issue of the Captain? uh, fun book. Yeah. All right, so my number 13 of the week, because I'm going with least favorite, the favorites. Um, not really much happens in this. It's kind of a really rushed issue. Uh, they find where the mother was kidnapped, and the baby's born, and then that's kind of it. The villain is like anticlimactic. The villain's like, "I'll see you later," or because the villain was upset that the baby was born human. He's like, no interest, and he just leaves. I was like, what is this crap? And this is Wiseman writing this. The guy who created Young Justice and also worked on the show. Like I said, I don't know if they're aiming towards this for little kids more. Because at first, when I first started reading it, I was like, oh, this is kind of like for older kids. Now it's just kind of like they're just kind of like stories are just getting worse. So I might be dropping this title. And I forgot that the guy here on the right here has his own like Iron Man gargoyle armor. Davos, I think his name is. He's pretty much Tony Stark in the Gargoyles universe. It's really weird. He's rich. He has his own tower, and he has his own gargoyle powered suit. Iron suit. But yeah, it wasn't that great. It was kind of a waste of an issue for how much story there was in there. The story was done. I read fast, and that was like fast. I read it faster than I normally read it because it was that short. But this is some of the art in there here. Now this is the guy, if you remember, though, was doing the John Carter Warlord of Mars. The past 2 years over at Dynamite, and we said like our was so cartoonish, but it fits this.
Again, yeah, I have no problem with that style on something on a cartoon property.
Exactly, and that's the way some of these guys should be doing like that.
But I would be angry as hell if I opened up a Warlord of Mars and saw that art.
Right?
Actually, I'd put it right back on the shelf.
So if you're in the furries, this book's for you. Because they have. I didn't realize this. When this show came out, I was like 7, probably 8. And I only watched I didn't realize there was like 3 seasons, so I had no idea.
Which means I was already old, so I never saw it.
I wish I would have never saw it though, because the thing that was great about it was the first season because you're introduced to the Gargoyles, and then you get the cop, who's basically doesn't trust them, and they're basically just trying to help mankind while blend in. So there's a comedy, suspense, and you get this evil rich tycoon who wants to control them, and just But I watched maybe 6-7 episodes, and then it's been how many years? It's been more than 20 years for me. All right, my number 12. Not that much better. I mean, She-Hulk's drawn a little better, but basically, She-Hulk, because in the last issue, Jack of Hearts got his powers back. He's restored back to being, and he basically decides, so he says, he leaves her. the whole issue is She-Hulk sulking, and no, that's not a pun. That's literally what happens. She sulks the whole entire issue. Oh, first she calls Thor, and I'm not sure. Like, did she have a booty call with Thor? She's like Thor, and she's like, "Hey, can you come over?" And then you don't see anything else. So I don't. So
okay, we'll start with when she was Hulk, and Jason Aaron's run. I think they did, and she kind of like smashed him around.
Yeah.
Now I realize that Marvel's just nothing but TELOL, so random now. But I don't think a Norse god would have a cell phone for She-Hulk to dial up the digits and hit him on the hip. Sorry.
So who comes to her rescue? Patsy Walker, because they're best friends.
Of course she does.
And they talk about how she's like, she reads off. It's like her talks about her boyfriends. She's like, it's hard to explain, Pats. When I was with him, also it seemed like it didn't matter that if I was She-Hulk or if I was just John. He accepted both parts of my life. That's why So she's like, when I was married to John, and it goes back, Jameson, aka Manwolf. He says, when I was married to John, he so clearly preferred me small and unhulked. And all the other guys I've always been with are too invested in me and being big and green. I guess I just can't really complain about that. And Patsy, you can complain about whatever you want. The dialogue is getting worse in this book. I'm probably going to drop it after this. And then she says, I mean, Wyatt was different. Wyatt took his responsibilities and mine so seriously. Wingfoot and Asterix, Jen's former fiance and Johnny Storm's best friend. She continues, we were never really focused on each other for long.
That's great that Rainbow memorized the Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to get the impression that I was impressed with the first issue with the apartment, but I'm starting to get the feeling that someone told her about that, because everything else is just surface shit.
Yeah,
and it's turning into just a typical Marvel, like I said.
Yeah. So we get a follow-up on a story that happened in one of the best issues. She won a case basically representing a Doom bot that was being accused for all the crimes of Dr. Doom did in New York. This kid basically had repaired this Doom bot, had been just destroyed or at least partially damaged.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Doom bot was being unjustly charged with Dr. Doom, and so she basically proves he's not, because Dr. when this thing happened, Dr. Doom was in Latveria and all that stuff. There's no way this could be that. And then we get Mallory book and Awesome Mandy, like I said here. They're like, oh, let's celebrate. And then Jen's like, I can't. I don't want to. I'm still she-sulking. Yes, let's coin it. She-sulking. She goes home, and then she finds he's back. So if you want, like I said, this comic is basically this for like girls' romance. There's really no action in this. There might be action in the next issue, though. I don't know if they show them.
As someone who's read a few romance comics, it doesn't even feel like it's fitting that bill.
Like, he comes back and she explains, like, oh, I didn't want to hurt you, so I flew away into space. I blew up a few times. I was like, what the hell? So she's like, well, because she's afraid to touch him. Basically, their relationship's going to be the new Rogue Gambit, where she can't touch him, although he'll absorb her energy. And I'm just like, so I was reading the comments on this because I like going online and looking at the pirate sites. Look at the comment sections, on these.
Yeah.
And everybody was loving it. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's so cute. Oh, get him a Nibulator color so it dampens his power so they can at least kiss and stuff, hold hands.
See,
I'm like, no.
It's okay. Yeah, She-Hulk appeals to shippers. Okay, are there enough of them to make the book sell? Probably not. So
no.
Anyway, that's enough oxygen wasted on that.
All right, last issue of this is like my number 11. This is the last issue, 6 of 6 of Blood Pack, where basically where in an alternate, basically it happened as a Brother Blood and Mother Mayhem attacked in the first issue, caused the Titans to be caught in another dimension. They were using Raven as their power as basically source.
Mm-hmm.
The Church of Raven was like the land of the law. Justice League was dead, all stuff. It does wrap up. I mean, it does, Raven and reveals that like they basically like, oh, I was just stringing them along, I never was really under their control, and they end up winning the day. And then you have now, if you like the show as far as the Teen Titans, there's Gizmo down there, a few other ones. We get Jinx and stuff. And for a minute, they were kind of upset because in this reality, they were heroes. And it's kind of like, so now, like, oh, at the end of this, are they going to be heroes or are they going to be villains? So more redemption stuff. I gotta say, for as crappy of the ending it was, I'd still read this over and watch Titans. So. And then, of course, we get the, oh, look, Icon. No one gives a shit about.
Okay, Zach.
I'm just saying. If it's Icon from back in the day, sure. Not today.
Fair.
So, which, no, this is how you know. All right. I'm gonna take these books, turn them around, so you don't know which one it is. And you're going to tell me which one's Marvel, which one's DC. Actually, no. Actually, which one's which? Which one do you choose?
Right hand, Clyde.
This one? Yep.
No, your other right hand.
Okay, so you choose this one. That's the Titans book. Of course, that would be the She-Hulk book. Because they got to advertise movies. Actually, not even movies. It's a freaking playlist. Who gives a shit about the soundtrack? I mean, that's the good thing about DC. DC, a lot of times I noticed in the past couple of years, when their books were sucking, they were advertising the movie, which was better than their books. Surprisingly. Well, not really surprisingly, when your comic books are being written horribly, and the tame, I guess with the DCU. I mean, people shit on the Snyderverse, but I'd rather read stuff that's based on the Snyderverse than read the stuff they're putting out. But,
well, I don't really care about what's on the back cover because in my day it was 12 people that were sending away for bird seed or something stupid. So
I mean, the great thing about now this is we're going to do on a Dynamite here because this is my number 10. Vampirella Strikes. Look at the back of their books. Literally, that's what every comic book company should be doing instead of advertising a movie, which has nothing to do with the book. But I understand because they're one conglomerate, Warner Brothers, they make money, they can do this, But man, like I said, I'd rather have a company that's more focused on selling the books than selling the movies, which have nothing to do with the books. But you're like, wait, it's Shazam. He's based off a comic book character. Not really much anymore. Not the movie. The original idea was. But all right, so the art of this was actually so. I think it's the same writer it's the same writer, but the same. I don't think it's a different artist, but it's not. It's cheesecake, but it's like toned down cheesecake. But it's not bad, like you see in some of the other books. Like was it Mortal Red Sonja? And you get a nice little thing advertising for DJ Thor's. By Chuck Brown. I don't know who Chuck Brown is. Does that sound familiar?
Nope.
But basically, the story on this is that this guy was going around. They called him Juice Box because he was a human that was basically like a prostitute. But besides sleeping with people, he went around to the vampire covens and allowed them to feed off of him, like a blood bank, and made money that way. Vampiro was supposed to have a date with them. Only to find out at the end he gets brutally murdered, and now she has to track down his killer. So it's okay, but I give it. It's not horrible. It's not bad. I mean, it's kind of like right now the story and compared to Events of Vampirella, I gotta say this book is. It's bad. So, all right. All right. And so number 9 is Scorched. I don't know where this book is going, and right now it's kind of spinning on his own heels. Maybe if Zach was here, he could defend the book and give you a better, honest opinion about it. For me, it's just kind of like, not even Cheesecake can really say of this, but there's a lot of infighting in this issue. Art is still awesome in here. Sean Lewis is still writing. And this is Steven Segovia doing the art. So, I mean, it's pretty. Some monster. I guess one of the like the there's an evil group of spawns working against the main spawns, and they want to release some monster at the end because the monster is supposed to like it's the last be the fourth horseman. You know, you said the Bible forgot this one. I thought the Word of God knew all. Even God gets scared. I was like, okay, yeah, I guess if you're an atheist, you know, or something. I don't know. I mean, well, not really being an atheist. It's just I don't know, but I do love the art. The art is great. And that's probably the only thing that's really carrying this book is the art for me. It's starting to get worse than mid. The book was barely above mid when I first started reading it. Not to put down Sean Lewis, but we get here's the villains in here in the beginning. Looks like old Lady Rogue and an iron and that supposed to be Spawn Superman, Cyborg Spawn. Not sure. I'll admit, I don't really read a lot of Spawn, so some of these characters might not even be new. These might be older characters.
I don't think I've read a Spawn story of any kind in the 21st century.
So you got the Spawns fighting against each other, breaking out. 3 of them leave the team. And now they got this 4th Horseman release, and they're like, oh, crap. Yeah. So, like I said, I give it a 2.5, almost 3. All right. Next one is the one shot by Lazarus. Lazarus one shot by Mark Waid. And yeah. This is supposed to be the final chapter of the whole Lazarus thing. And then after that, it's supposed to like lead into more stuff. I'm trying to say in here. We do start up with this. This was a good start. I was like, oh, fishnets. Zatanna. Damien leads basically a group of magic users. Black Alice, who basically was originally in the beginning of the story, in the beginning of the last thing. The Demon Nezza was using her to siphon all the magic users in the DC universe. She just basically says, against Robin's wishes, Damien is like, when I understand you guys say, hey, Robin. Some of you might think I'm saying, hey, no, that's Tim. Damien was upset because he didn't want her he actually kind of liked her. He was trying to form a crush on her a little bit. And she basically gives all the powers back at once, which could basically kill her. And then at the end, she kind of like disappears and Damien's kind of heartbroken, but it's kind of weird. It's like, is this a late Valentine's Day story? But there is a backup story in here too it's by Gene Luen Yang, the guy who's doing like the what's it called? The Monkey Prince. And it tells you basically what's going on as far as where the Demon Nezza and his son came from. So you get a nice little origin story involving Darkseid. But this story is going to be concluded in Batman Robin. Spoiler, if you're not reading this, it's kind of a huge spoiler. Batman's still possessed by the Demon Nezza, even though they defeated his son. So it's going to be concluded in Batman versus Robin number 5. So, yeah. $6. I thought I would have to pay like $9 for these things, usually the one shots.
I guess Batman didn't have enough prep time to keep from being possessed.
It could be actually part of his plan.
Oh.
So, all right. So like I said, I normally don't read these things because I just don't care for the writers, the stories. There was Mark Waid's name on it, so there was some good and there was some bad, but it's easily you can pass on this whole Lazarus event if you really want to.
You know, Wes brought up an interesting point today. When they do these events,
Yeah.
the you've got the architects, like in this case, Williamson and Wade.
Yeah.
The other writers have to give half their page rates to Williamson and Wade. So anybody worth a damn isn't going to do that. That's why you get all these, below mid writers.
Yep.
And so that's great. That takes care of the top talent, but it pretty much precludes any
Yeah.
other talent from being on the books.
All right. Now we're following it up with the number for number 7. This is Mark Waid book here. What's finest? Yes, as you see on here, this whole cover is what happens in the book. Well, there's no Batman, Superman. Well, there is. Supergirl and Robin are on a date. Dick Grayson. And things just kind of go wrong. And Robin shows up there first in his costume, and Supergirl quickly changes, and because you realize they're in costume, he's like, "Wow, I kind of figured we met, when we're in costume, and when we kind of set the date, so I figured I'd show up in costume." Dick Grayson, so flustered, he forgets his wallet. I don't know where he even keep it in those tights. I don't want to know either if he even had it. Thing. And of course, everybody's freaking out because they're at the restaurant owner is freaking out because, well, we got Supergirl, we got the Boy Wonder, they're famous, it's gonna be perfect. The chef quits in anger and just leaves. Meanwhile, something happens outside. A truck carrying bowling balls crashes. All the bowling balls bounce out. Supergirl is like, why would a truck be carrying bowling balls? And Robin kind of smirks back. He's like, well, gee, maybe he's making a delivery to a bowling alley or a place that sells them. And all. But it's just there's some humor in here. And so basically, each character, we're getting a story side from Robin and also from Supergirl throughout the issue as they narrate what went wrong in their dates and why it went bad. And you see how basically Supergirl man's basically consulting what's her name, Kara, and saying like, well, maybe it's different for him because he's a human being. It's like it's as far as going on dates with someone who is like all your things, and it's there. So anyway, they're just basically talking to each other. And the stupid thing is the whole reason I started because some guy got kicked, of his landlord, let his door open and let his pet monkey out, and it caused all this chaos. That's why the accident's happening. And I think that was the monkey's name Bibble? I can't remember if it was or not. He was saying something. Bingo. Yeah, was the name of the monkey. So I thought maybe that was important, but
Bingo was his name. Oh,
yeah. Of course, how they catch the monkey, it goes on around his face. Yeah, we could skip the whole Rubik ad thing, but so basically they had like the kind of the worst day, and they go their own way. I love so basically Batman's in here. You see him here saying Dick, take the loss. He's like easy for you to say. She's like, he says like, you are pretty flamboyant. It's like, you dress me in red and yellow. Does romance even work for for guys like us? And Bruce is like, well, Hawkman's married. And Dick's like, well, he had to die being reincarnated. And he's like, okay, well, get it, man. We are nothing like Ralph Dibny. You're right. Here's what I do know. You can't force chemistry. Some pairs click and some don't. Take the loss and move on. He's like, okay. So at the end, you see at the very end, he's like, so does Tali have a sister? So.
Turns out she does, but
yeah,
wouldn't do Dick any good because she doesn't like it.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a filler from Mark Waid. There's nothing else connected to anything else. Is this all it is? It almost made my top 5, but it's at number 7. Like I said, and the art in here, I think it's Emanuela Lupacino. That's why I just love the art on this. It's just She was drawing the interiors for Supergirl Rebirth when they first, before the other guy took over art. Fantastic Italian artist.
So where's is Dan Moore off the book or just taking a break to catch up?
He must be taking a break because he does the cover. This is his art on the cover.
Oh, Black Cat saying this is straight in the comics.
Oh, is she?
Wait a minute. Black Cat, does DC editorial know that? More important, does Megan Fitzmartin know that?
Shh. Don't let it be. All right. My number 6, Darkwing Duck. This is by Amanda Debert. I think her name is. Amanda Debert. Literally, they go to a toy store, and and this is where most of the story takes place. He's with Goslin because it's continued from the last issue. What? You're like, what? There's actually a continuing subplot? Yes. And yeah, Quacker Jacks is there. He's basically like the Joker version, or Toyman, I would say, of the Darkwing Duck universe. And they basically it's DW versus him, and also at the end, there's a bunch of rubber duckies going on. Basically, DW decides to quit, because I can't be a hero and also be your father, Goslin. So Launchpad ends up leaving. And yeah, so like I said, these are short little issues. I want to read the Aaron Sparrow ones because Aaron Sparrow, a friend of ours on the channel, I call him Aaron, So Darkwing Duck has been one of my favorite childhood cartoon series. So I've really enjoyed actually been loving this. It's got the humor of the show, where he's a know-it-all, thinks he knows what he's doing, makes mistakes, and ends up getting hurt, saving other people. So, and the comedy, and he got the family, the supporting cast. Launchpad's still an idiot, but somehow knows how to fly a plane. Figure that out. But yeah. So I say if you're, I've had to choose between Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles at Dynamite. Darkwing Duck all the way. All right, so that was my number 6. Let's see. Wait, here we go. Yeah, number 5. Carnage, last issue by R.D.V. So it's wrapping up. This is going to lead to basically Cletus. We find out, that basically Cletus Cassidy, his body is somewhere in on Earth, but his codex, I guess, is inside this police officer's brain. That's what's talking to him. And they're at the place where the dwarves, the dwarves make all the metal and stuff, weapons to forge. And the last good effort, they tried to stop the symbiote from getting complete its mission. They want to destroy it because that guy shows up. He basically ends up touching the symbiotes, allowing it to go free, and that part of the symbiote is reunited with the symbiote host, or because it doesn't have a host yet, and causes all chaos. And just you get and because he touched all the other all the dead dwarves, he learned their memories through their DNA, how to build stuff. So we got an uber all father version of the symbiote, and it chooses the detective to be its new host for bringing it, and it wants to kill the other guy, the serial killer that was originally helping the symbiote along this whole time, but because we betrayed him, he to transport himself. And at the end, of course, because we have to bring back Cletus Cassidy, So, like I said, I don't know what's going on, but I was looking at this Rocket Raccoon. I was like, oh, cool. But I don't know who's writing it though. It doesn't say. Oh, Bill Mantlo, Mike Mignola.
Yeah, that's the original miniseries.
So they're collecting it now?
It looks like it.
Or is he coming back? This says collecting the complete original series.
No, Bill Mantlo's been basically a vegetable since '92.
I was going to say, I don't think it's him then. Next issue, is for Carnage. Now, Ram V is off this book. Someone he basically is friends with, a writer, is taking over. And then look at this, Adventures Beyond. Look at that crap. Why am I shocked? That is the Beyonder has been manipulating the Avengers for months, but what to one end? And Greg Land and Derek Landy. So, still a good series. I would read 1 through 10. Ram V. Ram V does not write shit. He writes good stuff. All right. Next book, number 4. Just Deceased. This is the cover I got here. It has you see that part, and then this has been one of my I guess return Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor and anything else but Deceased has been trash. I'm sorry if you like the Knights of Steel. That's your opinion. I'm just not a fan of it.
I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's like if the DC universe was in the medieval times.
Oh.
And of course, Supergirl's gay in that one too.
Oh, of course she is.
Oh man,
there's rampant homosexuality in medieval times.
Yeah, Lobo is hired by these gods or aliens. They're like, save the universe. He's like, he's kind of boring. You're like, dude, like your universe be destroyed too. He's like, yeah, I know, but they're like, we'll promise you all the. What did he say? He's like, we'll ensure. He says, in return for the universe's survival, we'll provide 100 years of hedonism and excess. He's like, I don't know, it could get boring. He's like, we'll ensure it does not get boring. Our greatest minds will turn their vast intellects to onslaught of creative scenarios for your personal gratification. Nothing will be too depraved. He's like, fine, I'll say the universe. The last issue we had, we saw that basically Oa was destroyed by Mr. Mitzi Plessick. Superman and a lot of basic Kilowog and John Stewart are dead in this universe now. They're killed by him, by a possessed Mitzi Plessick, who's basically become by the Anti-Force. Superman ends up basically trying to help the Spectre because the Spectre's in basically a knuckle drag out, fight. Oh, knock down. We want knock down knuckle. Yeah, I mean, it's, and then the new gods show up because that's where Supergirl and infected them, and now they show up on New Earth, the second Earth 2 they call it, and they're forced to survive, and because the Spectre is dead, and what's his name? Basically, Alfred has been dating Leslie Thompson. Leslie Thompson gets hit. And he's just full of rage, and we see the Spectre basically about to die, as as what's his name is pulled out of him. Corrigan is pulled out of Spectre. He dies holding Superman's hand. Like I said, it's just a straight up just chaos and action. Alfred's freaking out, and then we see Alfred just screams for vengeance, and Alfred. It's just he's just upset what's going on. He doesn't care anymore. He's lost everything. Alfred is the new Spectre in this universe now. So I don't know how I feel about that. But
I know I want Jay to delete his last comment.
Roy Thomas Taylor. Yeah. If Roy Thomas Taylor, they merged. Oof. Now, my number 3 is a book I promised I would not spoil, but it's Junkyard Joe. It felt kind of short, but we get to learn more about everything as far as Joe's past, who these people are coming after him. Trying to find something I can see. This is a preview for next issue. So it shows it like that, and it just like so. Overall, it's I love the artist. Gary Frank's art is amazing. Jeff John's storytelling is good. Here suspense. It's like those classic movies when the villains show up. Now the hero has to somehow save people, and flee, but at the cost of what happens. Is someone going to get hurt? Is someone going to die? We're uncovering more stuff about Joe. It is a fun book. Do not sleep on Junkyard Joe if you're not reading this. I know you're like, well, it's still $3.99, but it's Jeff Johns writing it, and it's not your well, I don't know, Jeff Johns is kind of mid. No, bro, I'm not really. I'm like, no one's ever said Jeff Johns mid. But fun book, man. This is cover, I believe, cover D. This is like that cover, cover C or D, the Gary Frank Anderson cover. So it's something. It's a variant. Yeah. Junkyard Joe is probably, like, I'd say, one of my top favorite books coming out. That's one of the newer books. They're only on issue 5, and every single freaking issue feels like it's taking forever to come out. But you know what though? It's a fun series. So my next book, for number 2, is number 1. I didn't know what to think of this because, I know the writer, and I saw what he did when we took over for Batman, and I wasn't really impressed. It was kind of like, okay, this is kind of dumb. He was only on the book for like 5 issues. I'm hoping he stays on for this more because this first issue was phenomenal for him. And there's a wraparound cover. Right, it's this. This is Superman number 1 by Josh Williamson. Man, this, I almost cried when I was reading that. Got halfway through this because I was like, I haven't read a good Superman story since, well, even before Rebirth. I'd say. I mean, I now you're like, whoa, I like Tomasi, I like all that stuff. There really was no mention of Jonathan in this. It was just straight up Superman, Lois, Lex, Mercy Graves. You get Livewire, Parasite, and then too. It just felt like a classic Superman story from and dare I say it, post Crisis. Lex is in prison, but is he, and someone needs to take over for LexCorp. So they basically kind of forces Superman to take over for Supercorp because Mercy says, if you don't take over this building, everyone's out of a job. They're kind of like, and he says, and she says, like, don't worry, I'm nothing like my boss. These people, yeah. So, man, just that opening fight, though, like I said, I'll show you some of the pages. The opening fight with Livewire was really cool. And you get to see, like, Superman's story on his cape. I'm not sure that's supposed to be. Is that supposed to be Brainiac down here? Marvel chess? Or just someone who looks like him?
I don't know. Might be.
Yeah. Because I know they hinted at Brainiac in Smallville, but I don't know if that was just the WB doing that.
Yeah, who knows what version of what his origin is in this iteration.
So the other cool thing is this something Superman totally would do to this. After he defeats Livewire, there is this couple here. There was getting married. They wanted to get married, but because everybody left because of the destruction mayhem, Superman marries them. I thought that's kind of cool. Jimmy Olsen, just being Jimmy. I mean, you get Lois taking over Perry's job because Perry apparently had a stroke or a heart attack in the previous things. And you see her coming out all like kind of like Perry, kind of a little bit, and she hates it. She's like, dude, Smallville, I want to leave. I don't want to be here. I'm like a caged animal. Like, he's like, well, who else would be better to take over for Perry for a while than someone who actually knows the job, And I love the romance between them. They still have the chemistry. And I'm reading this, I'm thinking like, man, this feels like Lois and Clark, the Dean Cain show. I don't think you got that vibes.
Liked it.
Yeah.
Not gonna go as far as say I loved it.
Well, yeah, it's a great start.
Yeah, no, I said it's got to go a long way to top Tomasi and Jurgens. It ain't never getting to Byrne, Wolfman, and Stern, but that's just me. Now,
so well, sure.
That said, I am so sick of Lois calling Clark Smallville. That'd be like it's like, if your girlfriend always called you
Yeah,
Oshkosh.
I hear you though. For all these years later, how many years? When they first got together, when they first in the post crisis, because they just were dating and stuff.
It was stupid then.
I
The
I liked
town
it. It was kind of a
it's
dig at him,
dumb,
but
dumb. But that I'm nitpicking for fun here. It was good. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. I only picked it up because I'm kind of in a new comic buying mood the last couple weeks. So I went ahead and got it.
Okay, so Evil Like Cat saying it's Lex Luthor, the version that grew up with Smallville. Clark.
Well, I guess before the experiment that made him go bald.
So the cool thing is here, I got a kick of this. If you're like part of the Justice League stuff, you remember the Booster Gold's pitch, hi, I'm Booster Gold, traveling from the future. Like we get a little kind of Superman pitched in the same vibe of the Justice League cartoon. And it's like, for years Superman has protected the fair city of Metropolis, but times are changing, partner. Oh no, and Superman needs our help. Now, with the support of the good people of Supercorp, Superman will have everything he needs to be the best version of himself, making Metropolis and humanity safe together.
So I'm guessing that
I love that.
Doesn't mean I'm not right, Jay. I'm guessing in this universe, Lex Luthor was never president. He was always more like wore the big bulky supervillain suit kind of Lex.
Yeah, I'm not well, I don't know, because people were saying I read reviews about this. Some people were upset because they're like, whoa, members, Lex was the Superman armor, suit, and now Lex is being evil. I think they're kind of like, this is a new continuity, new Dawn DC, so they're going away from
I'm sorry, if Lex grew up in Smallville, he knows who Superman is.
Sure.
There's no way he doesn't. Not the smartest man in the world would know.
Yeah. So the other cool thing here, because now Superman has his own thing, and I'm thinking like this, because now it's a Supercorp thing, and they're there to help him out and everything. Like, is he gonna go to Clark? Batman's gonna show up in the next meeting, like, so Clark, I hear you you took over LexCorp. And just kind of like rub it in his face a little bit. He's like, "You need any help?" But and then of course, because he heard about his Lex knows all about Superman's or his history or what's been told, reported on the hologram stuff. He's like, now you have your own personal Lex hologram to help you out. Oh, I need to see Superman just so freaking pissed because he's like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Of course. Like I said, the other part of this is that we get Parasite, and then I'll just say I'll leave the ending for anybody who hasn't watched or read this, yet. Even I've spoiled something for you, go back and read yourself. It is just a fun book. There's gonna be a lot of stuff coming in the events or the next couple of issues. I said, general with them, I do not pick up Superman books, modern Booster books. I just can't stand them. I've never to pick them up. They're not as offensive as Spider-Man is, but wow, they're just so what is that? When you have too much of one thing? Too much? Is that colluded?
Convoluted,
yeah. Yeah.
Well, it took, I mean, from the moment Bendis got there, from the 5th issue of Man of Steel until, I guess, Philip Kennedy Johnson's War World story.
Yeah.
Superman was in shit hands. And now, I mean, I said, maybe one of the things that makes Superman good was the bar was not only so low at this point, I think it was non-existent.
Yeah.
So anybody that didn't just like blatantly offend, this was going to be a marked improvement.
Yes. And
now, $6 doesn't thrill me, but
well, I'm reading the Triangle era stuff, in the early '90s.
What's that got to do with this being $6?
I'm just saying. I can see why you're upset because it's $6,
a quarter. That's 24 times more expensive.
Well, it depends what issue you get. Some of those issues were probably worth some money, but anyway, so like I said, this has a wraparound cover, and this is the and as Zach pointed this out on Tuesday, all the heroes, good people are on the front, and in the back we have all the villains. So I don't know who this new villain is on here. It's a new villain. Uh, we
Looks like
have
a mutated Grundy almost.
it might be Grundy. Who knows? Who's that then? I have no idea who that person is. But we have Bizarro, we have Banshee, Livewire, and then we have Parasite.
When did Livewire become a thing? Because of the Supergirl TV series?
No, Livewire was a thing back in the '90s cartoon.
No. Okay. So this came from the cartoons because
That's where she came from. A thing. Livewire, because she was.
Well, they used her in the '90s in the comics too, late '90s.
Yeah,
but I have no connection to that character.
I think she was created for the cartoon series, but I could be wrong about that.
No, it could be. I mean, just like Harley Quinn was.
Yes, because I remember in the episode, basically, Superman gets struck by lightning, and then she also gets struck by lightning too, and it causes her. That's how she gets her powers, is from Superman being struck by lightning and transferring some powers of her over, and then she's electricity. Now she can travel through electricity, kind of like Electro.
Now I know Jay's kidding, but I'd be willing to bet that DC doesn't use anybody that Bendis created during his Superman run.
So
you won't even see the Fire Chief again.
So my number one book, because that was my number 2, so it's obvious my number 1 book is Flash.
What?
It's Chris Pine Flash.
Yeah.
Zach couldn't see it. I cannot unsee that. The hair swoop to the left, and then you got the anger. I was looking down. It's a pissed off Chris Pine with the angry eyebrows. This has been a fun series. Jeremy Adams bringing back Impulse into this. You have every character, even though he brings them in there, they have a purpose. The only one that's not really has been kind of like a background character for the most part has been Max Mercury. The whole last issue, all they did is show his butt. He didn't really have, he had like one speaking thought. I was like, why am I even in here? Feed the Max Mercury fans, I guess. Anyway, so the other thing too is that because they're in the speed war, everyone is pretty much slowed down if you're not a speedster, which is kind of weird. But they have Superman because he's frozen, he's like, and he's trying to speak. They're like, what? Because they're moving so fast. They're in hyperspace, or basically hyperspeed, high time speed, because the villains, the fractions. The faction, not the fraction. Or is it?
I was gonna say, so Matt and Kelly Sue are the villains. Awesome.
I think it might be the fraction. It's been a hot minute since I read this. Oh, it is the fraction. Overrun by the fraction. So basically, because they're joking, he's like, and Impulse is like, oh, this is gonna take this all day. Like he's complaining because he wants to move. He's like, dude, Barry's like, we were slingshotted by the Speed Force. I'm sure enough time Superman might be able to catch up, but right now we must all look like a blur to him. But of course they have this new person from last issue they rescued. Basically human conducts, basically people who have access to the Speed Force naturally they use them to power their weapons and their ships and stuff. And we don't know who this kid is. Rumor has it might be Linda Wally's unborn child from the future or different universe, but he knows who Wally is, and he knows he recognized him right away when they first recognized him or rescued him. Max gets more speed dialogue in here. We get to see basically what's her name, Liberty Bell, aka Liberty, but she's not. What's her name now in this series?
I don't know. I'm not reading it.
Oh. I can't remember. Eva Black might know who she is. I forget what her name is. I read this two days ago,
but it sure sounds to me like Tom Taylor's gonna have a lot to clean up when he takes over.
Right. Jesse Quick. Yes, thank you, Jesse Quick. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name, but we get to see her and IRA basically kind of like team up this issue, and they're like, yeah, like girl power and stuff, it's like so because she feels so left out because everyone else is doing stuff, and she's like, what am I gonna do? And they're like, well, you need to stay here and protect all the heroes. So we get to see them teaming up here, distracting. Wally basically he took his car and he's like, this is like a Johnny Storm thing. I'm gonna take one of the devices they have from the ship that we stole. We're gonna hook it up, and then we're gonna create a bomb. And that's because basically this car is gonna be hooked up to the Speed Force. We're gonna right into their little like device that's basically that's slowing, speeding up time around the planet and destroy it. Overall, it's a fun series. Yeah, you get to your Flash Girls Forever. So I said I do. It's a different art. It's Cruz, but it feels like it's a different interior artist because I don't remember this from last time. But overall, it's been a fun series. Yeah, I don't want to show much more because if you're really invested in this, yeah, you should be picking it up, reading it. But it's just as I said, this has probably been my favorite ongoing. I just saw it. Breen, the feeling I get from reading this is the same feeling I was getting from when I was reading Superman Post Crisis books. Everything matters. Nothing is like just there as a throwaway. So, but that's it for my books of the week. I'm gonna let you go. Do your books.
I picked up Superman. We talked about that. I picked up that Wiz Comics. We talked about that. Junkyard Joe, talked about that, and I picked up Vampirus Carmilla.
Apparently my shop said he didn't have it. He didn't come in. It's like it's next week, I guess. The annual is next week. I don't know.
This was the one so I'll turn on the camera for a second. That's the one that came out.
Yeah, that's why I have to go to my other shop tomorrow.
Yeah, and then the annual I think is next week. But and then I bought something called Vampire Macabre. I thought it was one of those pre-code reprints.
Yeah,
it wasn't, so I thought I'd go ahead and try it anyway. But it's like if edgy boys tried to write edgy vampire stories, and it just kind of comes out. Give it to me.
Right.
Put it up on the screen. It just kind of turned out to be.
All right. Oh, you want? You're saying
know what I want.
You're saying it's
yes.
Wow.
And that was it. Probably would have to elevate itself to get to mid.
And everybody's upset now.
That's. I know I have to say it again. Zach's class reunion.
Yes. All right. So like I said, it has been an interesting week. It feels weird ending this under an hour. So, but we'll be going live another 15 minutes or half an hour for a reading tonight. So check out that. Check out Stay on Tune on the channel. We'll see you guys in a few. And if you guys haven't already done so, please click like, leave a comment after the stream's done. If you're not subscribed, please do that right now. Also, if you want to support the channel, you can do it by sharing out and just showing up, leaving comments, just viewing us, hanging out with us. Or there's a Ko-Fi going on right now. There's Ko-Fi.com /Palpatine, where the money goes. So if you want to donate, you can donate $1, or it's if you want to. The money basically goes to paying for the StreamYard, which is a monthly expensive, and then there's 2 yearly expensive. Or basically, we pay for the Marvel app and the DC reading apps we use for the readings, and also for the retrospective. So if you want to help with the channel, go ahead and do that, and we'll see you guys in a few. Thank you for showing up, and thank you for being here, Eric Breen, coming on the camera for like 1 minute.
That's one more than people probably wanted. So that's
and thank you, Zach, for not showing up. Now
I think we can all agree on that.
All right. Later, guys.
See you in a few.